Hey everyone, Steve Seymour with Vanguard Realty Alliance here with Dustin Seltzer on the Investor Agent podcast, where we help transform mindsets from scarcity and lack to abundance and wealth. Dustin, thanks for being on today. Just want to start off by thanking you for coming out and have you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how'd you get started in real estate?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Steve. Appreciate having me on. I started in real estate about 2014 as an agent. The goal when I got into real estate was really to get into the investment side. I was not intending really to be a salesperson, and that's probably not too common, but essentially when I got into it, I wanted to get into investing, flipping houses, acquiring rental properties. But I realized that I couldn't really do that by working a 9 to 5. So the biggest thing for me getting into the sales business is you can have unlimited income to fund these properties.
So you saw getting your license as a kind of stepping stone to getting into the investing.
Correct. And well, the bigger thing too is I didn't know anything about real estate when I got into real estate. I didn't know what a UNO was. I didn't know. I remember people would ask me what interest rates were, and I had no idea. So
fake it till you make it.
Yeah, and that was I got that advice early on, but yeah, it was a great experience to start.
So you got licensed in 2014,
Mm-hmm.
and then when did you start, actually buying properties?
I bought my first property in 2016. So
2 years in?
Yeah, 2 years in. I believe it was April of 2016. And that was an FHA property back when you could get FHA loans accepted. You could get 6% seller's assist.
There you go.
So it was a $100,000 property. I bought it 3.5% down, 6% assist. I think it was roughly $7 or $8 grand all in. Rehabbed that property, and then after about a year, I took a HELOC out on that property, a home equity line of credit, and then purchased my first rental property in Coatesville cash. So then that became my borrowing tool from there on.
So that's pretty key. You said a lot right there real quick.
Yeah.
But you used an FHA program really to get into a property with little out of pocket.
Correct. I did not have much money, so that was really the only route I could go.
Yeah.
So when I did that, again,
do you mind sharing like what you paid for it? And
so this was again 2016, very different market, but in 2016 it was listed at I think 100,000. I got it for 106% assist. So it's down payment was again roughly 7,500 maybe. And I had to put about 30 grand into the property. So it didn't have heat.
So how did you come up with the 30 grand? You had that saved up?
No, I did not. I did not actually. I was kind of winging that one. My sales business, I was doing well at the time. So yeah. I put aside commission checks, and that's how I paid with that out of pocket.
I got you.
But what was the question again?
No, so it's just, a lot of people are like, how do I get started?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's a very great, that's how actually I got one of my first rentals in Westchester. I had a couple before that in lower end areas, but when I wanted to get a higher end, I used FHA, bought it as a primary,
right, and
then moved out and then kept it as a rental.
And that was a big thing too. For FHA, it's 3.5% down, but it has to be your primary residence. I was looking at a multi-unit at the time, but I still couldn't find the deals where the numbers made sense.
Yeah.
Versus this one, when I bought it, my mortgage payment was roughly $700 a month. That place is now running for $1,700 right now.
Wow. So $1,000 a month cash flow.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you got some expenses there, but
And then I have my home equity line of credit on top of that, which is extra $350, give or take. That's over 20 years, but still there's cash flow there that allowed me to purchase that property and pick up others.
So you took the home equity line of credit and then you bought another rental and then just kept going with that?
Correct. And then funny thing about that is the first rental I bought, the first month after I bought it, the roof leaked. So there's my first $10,000 repair.
There you go.
Into my first rental property.
Welcome to being a landlord.
Yeah, and you don't expect a $10,000 repair, but when you buy a house in Coatesville from 1900 that has 4 layers of shingles on it and no plywood, then you have a big problem. So
for anyone out there, really that kind of feels like they don't have enough cash to get started, what would you say shifted in your mind to say, I just got to do this. I got to pull the trigger?
Um, I would say what shifted for me is I was broke. I mean, honestly, I was broke at the time. So doing the sales, you have to be motivated to do that. If you're not motivated to be a salesperson in real estate, you're not going to make any money.
Yeah.
So that's what shifted for me is I wanted to acquire these rentals to have some type of stability that where 5-6 years from now, I don't have to worry about chasing a commission check or working 14, 16 hours a day, which I was at the time.
So it was really the feeling of being broke and worrying about where your next commission is coming from that you said, I got to do something different.
Yeah.
And that had you, the fear of that became greater than the fear of, pulling I'm sure there was some fear buying your first house.
Yeah.
No? Not really too bad.
Just not really too bad because I've helped people at the times and I
so
had understanding of construction. Process. So I knew the process. I guess it was nerve-wracking once you buy it, your first one. More excited than anything.
Yeah.
But then that excitement then turns to stress because when you don't have money and you're working check to check still and you have all these bills for materials and contractors, it starts
motivates you to go sell another house or two.
Yeah, exactly.
So fast forward, 5-6 years. Now you're in a totally different position.
Correct.
How many rentals do you have now?
I have 8 rentals now, and working on transitioning from the buy and hold rentals at the moment. So.
And how does that cash flow impact your lifestyle versus, that commission roller coaster?
It definitely helps because, and being a landlord is also not easy. So it's not necessarily cash flow. Definitely hands-on. I'm still very much hands-on. But it definitely helps because you have that money coming in that you don't have to worry about if you have a settlement this month or if, the day-to-day stuff. But more importantly, I use that to fund the next deal. So it's not necessarily money that I spend coming in. I'm just
and it's not like you're stopping.
No.
The game is to keep going.
Correct.
I'm sure you've created some substantial equity as well. Timing was good. Market came up a lot.
Yes.
A lot of people are very focused on making more money with their time, but not making more money with their money.
Right.
And can you talk about a little bit of some of the equity gains that you've seen over the past 5-6 years?
Yeah. Again, I think I was very fortunate that I started when I did because the properties I was buying was they were lower priced properties, but just like any other real estate market, it typically always goes up with the exception of 2008, I guess. Even right now, we're seeing really ridiculous gains in equity from this time last year. But from 5 years to now, I mean, pretty much every property has doubled in equity. So you're getting the cash flow month to month, you're getting the equity that has doubled, and you're also getting the tax benefits. So depreciation.
So, that's kind of a big thing is because, and it's not to say that you wouldn't have been more successful with sales if you had focused all that time and energy on sales, right? Because you only have so much time in the day. And like you said, it is rental properties are not necessarily passive.
No.
But if you were to go back and trade it, would you go back and say, I wish I would have done more sales and not bought rentals? Or would you say, you're pretty happy with what you did and, glad that you took those steps to acquire rentals?
I always say that I'd never regret buying a house. I only regret the houses I did not buy. So I would have pulled the trigger more, honestly, because
you would have bought more.
Yeah. Yep. And there was opportunities that were presented to me that I passed on and I regret now. I don't regret. It's just a learning experience. But if I would have went back there, I would have just started invested earlier because I just didn't know enough at the time when I started. So I had to educate myself before I jumped in.
Yeah. Any advice you would give for anyone that's like kind of on the fence or, they want to get started, but they just don't know where to start?
Well, Vanguard has an investor meeting every Wednesday. So that's one great place, or once a month.
Yeah, once a month. Yep.
So that's a great place. There's plenty of investor groups out there on Facebook and all over. As far as getting started, really just take action. That's all I can say. I mean, you can overanalyze deals, but ultimately you have to take action or you're going to be in the same place that you were last year.
Yeah, because you bought properties for what, like some of them for 50 grand.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, what if you walked away from a deal
Right.
5 years ago because it was 5,000 overpriced?
Oh yeah.
5 years later, you're saying they've doubled.
Right.
So if you would have gotten 45 grand in equity instead of 50, wouldn't you have rather?
Exactly.
You know, so that's where I tell a lot of people, don't overanalyze it. If it cash flows and it's in the market that you want, you believe in the area, pull the trigger, get started. You're going to learn. You know, you're not going to get hurt if you hold. If you buy and then you sell,
yeah,
you could get hurt.
Flipping.
Yeah, or if you buy a rental and you sell in a year or two.
Yeah.
But time heals all wounds in real estate. You know, you can make a mistake, and time will heal if you hold long enough, right? I mean, if you look at historically, 20, 30 years. So I know you came out to a lot of the meetings at different times, and I've been preaching buying rentals, and it was pretty awesome to see your journey. I was always like, damn, he's actually taking the steps, because a lot of people came to the meetings and didn't. And that's why I just want to highlight, what differentiated you from people that would come to meetings and then say they want to do it, but they don't, and that's really it, is taking action.
Yeah. I think taking action, I think being a realtor does help you educate yourself throughout what to expect, what negotiations you have, which is very little in this market as a buyer.
Yeah.
But it still educates you through the process, and it helps you also build relationships with other people. Like a lot of the deals that I executed on that were brought to me was I might have had a relationship with the other agent, or that's one of the things is if you have a relationship with agents and you're on good standing with your peers, then a lot of times they're more willing to work with you than others. And that goes on the sales side, but also the investment side.
Yeah, absolutely. Any last tips or tricks you want to tell anyone, if it's thinking about getting investing?
Really just take action. Don't overanalyze, and make educated risks. So don't just buy anything just to get a rental. I think the one key thing that you hit on was, if it cash flows, you're going to be okay. If you're not buying something that cash flows, and if the market does go under, then you're going to be in some trouble. Right.
Because you might not want to be able to hold on and write a check every month.
Right. And then just trust the process, make sure Ben Simmons is not there.
Yeah. So. Well, we appreciate you coming on today. I mean, we really just want to hope that this information is helpful in, really transforming. There's a lot of fear out there in the marketplace. The values are going to keep shooting up, or the rates are going to rise, this or that, and it's really, like you said, you got to kind of have trust. You got to trust the process. Right. This is not something new. The strategy's been around for a really, really, really long time, and has made a lot of people very wealthy. So if you're interested in getting into investing in real estate, we'd love for you to reach out to us. We'll drop both of our information below. And here at Vanguard Realty Alliance, our mission is really to help empower agents to live their life to the fullest, specifically through creating financial freedom in investing in real estate. And that being the most simple strategy is buying rental properties. Buy and hold. There's no secret sauce. Just go do it. Get around people that are doing it and get support, educate yourself. But if you're on that commission roller coaster and you're feeling that pain, like, I just don't want to keep doing this. I know I've been doing this for 5 years. I don't want to do it for another 5. Or I've been doing this for 20 years. I don't want to do it for another 20 years. We really suggest surround yourself with the right people and come on out to one of our meetings. So thank you very much. Thanks, Dustin, for being on today. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.